Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Jedediah Bila, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Trump and Democrats set to collide on two key issues, the border wall and Obamacare. First, with the potential partial government shutdown looming just 4 days away, the White House and Democrats continue to clash over border spending. Senator Chuck Schumer claiming there's no way lawmakers will greenlight funding for the wall.
President Trump should understand there are not the votes for the wall in the House or the Senate. He is not going to get the wall in any form. Even the House, which is a majority Republican, they don't have the votes for his $5 billion wall plan.
But White House advisor Stephen Miller says the president is not going to blink on the issue.
We're going to do whatever is necessary to build the border wall to stop this ongoing crisis of illegal immigration. The Democrat Party has a simple choice. They can either choose to fight for America's working class or to promote illegal immigration. You can't do both.
Also, President Trump ready to replace Obamacare after a federal judge rules it to be unconstitutional. Democrats already lining up to challenge the decision. President Obama and other top Democrats are vowing to fight, while others are using it to push for universal health care, which we will probably hear a lot about. Can we just call up the president's tweet about the border, if we could? And I will provide that to the viewer, where he said, anytime you hear a Democrat saying that you can't have a good border security without a wall, write them off as just another politician following the party line. Time to save us billions of dollars a year and have, at the same time, far greater safety and control. Greg.
That was the border was spelled correctly in that tweet. Did you notice that? Look, I can solve this problem. Combine the border wall and Obamacare. If you build the wall, you get free health care. Huh? That's why I'm 2024, everybody. What I find interesting, and no one likes that idea.
Like, how's that going to work?
I don't know.
Well,
just get free.
Mexicans building the wall.
Mexico builds the wall, gets free health care. Here's what's the irony of all this. I'm punch drunk. For the Democrats, government is the answer for everything, right? It's the answer right now for health care. You know, Obamacare is government. It's for everything except the wall. That is where the government happily abdicates the responsibility and says we want nothing to do with it, which makes no sense at all. So if you say the government should take over health care, why don't you do the wall as well? I don't understand it.
Jesse, a poll of in the USA Today poll, I thought this was pretty interesting. Yes, it's true a majority of Americans oppose a government shutdown, but it was only 54%. 54 to 29%.
I think the country has a stomach for a shutdown. So what, you can't go to the national park? Who cares?
No, the parks get to stay open.
Yeah, even better. Even better. So it probably rockets to 75%. In the spirit of Greg's bipartisanship, I think Trump hit the nail on the head when he said put solar panels on the wall to get the Democrats to vote for it. The president said he wants the ownership of the shutdown. I don't think he necessarily needs to take that because I believe the Democrats in the Senate would own the shutdown. If you think about the fact that this president was elected by the American people to provide border security, he has a mandate to build the wall. Currently, he still has control over the House and the Senate. If they send up to the Senate wall funding at $5 billion in a budget, then it's the Senate Democrats who are the intransigent ones and should own the shutdown. I don't understand how this is being framed as Donald Trump's fault. Look at the spending. He only wants $3.5 billion more in a $4 trillion budget. I ran the numbers, Dana.
Right.
That comes out to 0.075%.
It's not a lot.
Less than 0.1%. That's what they're fighting over. So you don't understand. It's not about security. It's not about principles. It's just about politics. They don't want to hand the president a victory. And the other reason is they know walls work. And they don't want to leave a lasting reminder that Trump was president. Yeah. For everybody to see for generations.
It'll be the Trump wall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Juan.
That's a statue they can't tear down.
Yes. It takes a while.
Do you want to talk about the shutdown possibilities or Obamacare, or do you want to do something very innovative like Greg did and combine the two?
Well,
peanut butter and jelly.
I was overwhelmed by peanut butter and jelly. I got to tell you something. But on the other hand, I think you guys are just making a spoof out of this because it's just, you know, it's kind of crazy. You know, I mean, you said, oh, what's different? I'm going to tell you something. What Schumer said is right. He has the House and he has the Senate, but he doesn't have the votes.
I don't believe Schumer.
Oh, well, why?
I think they had 51 in there.
Why doesn't the House vote, Jesse?
They will.
Oh, no.
They're waiting for crunch time.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, crunch time's going to come. Half of them won't even be there because a lot of the people who were defeated are just staying home.
Yeah.
So this is not a good situation for the president. And Jesse, while you say, hey, you think the Democrats should take responsibility, let's go to the videotape.
Yeah, I know. He did it.
He said it.
I agree.
And so
It's
Mitch
out there.
McConnell, who's the Senate majority leader, has already said he doesn't want this. He's trying to figure it out because he doesn't want to buck the president. He wants to stay loyal to the president.
He's on record as saying he wants wall funding.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
he is.
You know what he's on record as saying? He wants Trump's support when he's up for re-election next year.
And he'll get it.
Yeah, fine. But he can't. But nobody in the Senate takes this seriously. In fact, what you heard from John Cornyn when he saw Trump take responsibility for the coming shutdown, say, "Oh my God, what did he do? I can't believe I didn't want to
there's
see
no
that."
political
The buck stops here. I guess he stole it from Truman.
There was a lot of political pressure before the midterm with Republicans saying, don't say you're going to shut down the government before the midterms. But now that the midterms are over, the Republicans kept the Senate. They lost a lot of seats in the House, like 39, 40 seats in the House. So now that political pressure isn't there. So this shutdown could last a while.
That's true. And I think he's taking credit for the shutdown because he wants to prove that he has some guts. Republicans are always such a bunch of scaredy cats. Democrats run with this language about a government shutdown. They scare the heck out of everybody. They don't tell you that your Social Security checks are still going to go out. Medicare and Medicaid are going to function properly. The military is going to stay on. The post office is going to stay open. Instead, they make you feel like it's Armageddon. And he's sitting there, Trump, and he's saying, you know what? If I have to shut down, do this partial shutdown of the government, like you said, maybe some of the parks won't stay open, or maybe they will. I'm going to do it because this issue of border security is that important. This is a humanitarian crisis going on the border. If no other Republican has the guts to say, I'm either going to get this done or I'm going to have to do a partial shutdown to show that I'm not kidding, he's willing to do it. And I commend him for that. I do think, though, that it shows these two issues that we're talking about. We're talking about Obamacare. We're talking about the border. I think it shows such a vast difference in terms of how the left and the right view the world, that when Trump was optimistic about them coming together and saying, oh, on these issues, you know, I have a lot of Democratic friends. I think we can sit at the table. I don't know. I mean, when you're talking about free market health care and on the other side you've got something as drastic as Medicare for all, that is government-run health care versus individuals running their own health care and making their own decisions. Those things are worlds and worlds apart. You know what, I don't know how you meet in the middle.
What you're talking about is, we've talked about this before, we are living in the prison of two ideas. Both of these, but you're talking health care and the wall are in the prison of two ideas. The Republicans, they like order, and Democrats, we like compassion. So they think that these can't be combined. So you're in a prison of two ideas. Then you look at Obamacare. Republicans say free market solution. The Democrats say compassion, government-centered solutions. Again, no one believes that they can come together, so you're in a prison of two ideas, when in fact, there is a solution in the middle. For each one of these things, it's going to, and for I think all of it, it's going to be solved by technology.
Well,
Somebody's going to figure it out.
I've always said the wall is compassionate.
It is.
It's compassionate to the American worker, and it's compassionate for all these people coming up from Central America.
That's
they don't
right.
have to risk.
Your hair
death.
is the wall.
Thank you.
Did you say his hair is the wall?
His hair
They
is the
should
wall.
send me to the border.
Oh my
Yes,
God!
look at that.
Oh my God!
You could not get through that, Juan.
It's quite sturdy,
It's like a brick. It's like a brick house up there.
Yeah, that's what we need down there.
Is it the spray? Is it the hair? We can spray the wall.
I don't disclose the products.
Oh, okay. All right.
No one can
right,
climb it. They
though.
slide right off.
No,
But I must say, wait a second. Republicans have been in charge, Greg, and they haven't been able to repeal and replace Obamacare, right? And Obamacare is now. This is unbelievable.
That's why I said the solution.
It is so popular.
No,
with the
it's not.
American-
It's like something that's just been hanging around to the point where people think, oh, it's still there. Let it stay. But I do think that technology, you're already seeing doctors doing basically FaceTime and Skype visits. This technology is going to solve this problem if we let it.
You know
And
what
your
I
point
feel?
about compassion is the key. You're right, because they twist that word. The left twist that word. We're the compassionate one. It's not compassionate to have a humanitarian crisis at the border. It's not compassionate to have healthcare costs rising for people that they can't afford, and having them now have plans, having a program that was shoved down their throat with lies where they can't keep their plan, they can't keep their doctor. Government-run healthcare is not compassionate anywhere. That's why people flee those countries and come to the United States for
So in
treatment.
other words, people who are suffering from the opioid crisis and can't afford to get care or attention for medical, that's
You would be able
compassionate.
to afford
Just keep
it
going in that direction.
if you had
that's not the
competition in the
Republicans doing that.
marketplace.
Oh, it is
you would be able to afford
Republicans.
it.
If you do away, by the way, you said Republicans like order.
Yeah.
what's going on if you do away with Obamacare right now is chaos in terms of
Competition.
Well, here's the thing that
You have
everyone
to have
should
competition.
know is
Creates
that
order.
nothing is changing. So if you have Obamacare and you
can
don't
keep-
have to worry, at this point, everything's still.
Maybe you can find the doctor
If you like
that you
your
lost.
Obamacare, you can keep it.
Can you go
For
back and
now.
find your old doctor?
All right, we're going to move on. James Comey back on Capitol Hill today, and he's going after President Trump, Republicans, and even Fox News.
What?
We'll show you next.
Big old rock, only a mountain. It ain't hard if you don't stop. It just took a little step.
Tom Petty week, even Greg likes it. James Comey back on Capitol Hill today after telling lawmakers over a week ago he didn't know, couldn't remember, or was unable to recall a staggering 245 times. The former FBI director very combative afterwards, taking shots at the president, Republicans, and Fox News.
What?
Another day of Hillary Clinton's emails and the Steele dossier. This while the President of the United States is lying about the FBI, attacking the FBI, and attacking the rule of law in this country. At some point, someone has to stand up and in the face of fear of Fox News, fear of their base, fear of mean tweets, stand up for the values of this country and not slink away into retirement. The FBI's reputation has taken a big hit because the President of the United States, with his acolytes, has lied about it constantly. And in the face of those lies, a whole lot of good people who watch your network believe that nonsense.
I think Comey's Boy Scout image, squeaky clean, I'm not really feeling it anymore, Greg. He seems cynical and jaded and hyper-partisan to me.
You know, he hurt my feelings because I'm sad that he's scared of me. I mean, but you know, the fact is, this is a charade of honesty, right? He said he was unable to recall something like 250 times. Before, he always talks about how he's willing to go there and willing to talk, but then when he sits down, he says nothing. He's like the guy that says, sure, I'll come over and help you move, but then when he gets there, all he does is drink the beer and then eat the pizza that you paid for, but doesn't lift a finger. He keeps talking about how honest he is, but he deals in mean tweets. He deals in platitudes. He deals in attack, as he thinks he's a Boy Scout, but he's more like just a disgruntled pit bull.
He also, Jedediah, talks about how the president's trying to destroy the reputation of the FBI. You know, the president feels like the FBI has wronged him, and there's been a lot of bad apples at the FBI that have resigned, been demoted, gotten in trouble for, lying and doing all sorts of really inappropriate things. So it's not all on the president. They've kind of, dug their own grave to some extent.
This is the guy who withheld information from the FISA court, exonerated Hillary Clinton before he even interviewed her or her aides. He's a joke. I mean, he's the only person that I've seen up there that has less self-awareness than Hillary Clinton. He just has no sense that he comes off so antagonistic, takes no responsibility. The fact that when somebody asked him a question about the FBI, about whether he felt at all responsible for its reputation going south, and he just came flat out, nope, not me, immediately shifted blame to the president. It's outrageous. And also think about it. If a private citizen went into one of these forums and had to answer these questions and gave 200 plus versions of I don't know and I don't recall when they were involved in two enormous scandals under their role as leadership, that wouldn't fly. I don't understand how he gets away with just saying he doesn't remember and doesn't have to provide some answers as to why he withheld all this information with respect to the dossier, the fact that it was unverified, the fact that it was funded by the Hillary campaign. I mean, there's numerous questions that he's on the line for, and I think it's really interesting that he chooses to instead sound like he's running for president on the Democratic ticket and not provide adequate answers to people who have legitimate concerns.
And Juan, I really dislike how he went after Fox News. How dare he attack the First Amendment in this country?
Yeah, gee, I don't think anybody on Fox News pushes any of the president's agenda.
We know your agenda, Juan.
Oh, yeah. How about the truth? And here's the thing about what you guys are going after Comey, as if Comey is the villain in this story. I guess that means Trump is your hero. But to me, Comey is on target when he says they've been going after the FBI. They've been President Trump diminishes the FBI because he doesn't like what they've had to say. He also diminishes CIA, diminishes anybody who doesn't agree with President Trump.
Duh. So you just learned this, that he criticizes people?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, the FBI used to be Republicans stood up
he's an
for
equal
law and
opportunity
order.
criticizer.
No, I'm just saying.
We get it.
But why, and this is the second part of what Comey did today, he said the entire Republican establishment, both in the Senate and the House, have just basically laid down for Trump. He has run over. It's become not the Republican Party, the party of Trump. And Jim Comey says, hey, you need to stand up. That's why he said what he said about Fox News.
I think you would have said the same. If we had a Rubio in the White House, you'd be saying, it's now the party of Rubio. Because the media and the Democrats would have focused and said hateful things about Rubio for 2 years because he's so pro-life.
President Bush had a tough time with the media. President Bush had a tough time with fellow Republicans at the time. Nobody said it was the party of Bush.
President Obama had a real tough time with the media, right? Well,
right now, there's a movie out.
I think he called them
There's a movie out on Dick Cheney right now that is supposed to rip him to shreds and did a terrible job because they didn't rip him to shreds enough. So that tells you that no matter who you are, as long as you're Republican, the media, pop culture, Democrats are going to hate your guts.
All right, tie it up for us, Dana.
Okay, so Juan mentions, like Comey mentions the Republicans who aren't, speaking out and saying that the president is wrong. But what Democrats on the Hill actually said that Hillary was wrong about Benghazi? Or which Democrats came out and said that having a private email server was wrong? Basically, you defend your team. They say you're on a team. That's the way it is.
I think lots of people had trouble with that email server.
Well, but they didn't say anything. But they all said. But they all said it was no big deal.
That's what they said. That's fair.
But no big deal,
That's
right?
fair.
So the other thing is that President Trump's nominee and FBI director, Christopher Wray, you never see him. He doesn't do media. He's just doing his job. And I think that he commands respect for that.
He's a handsome fellow, too.
Yes. All right, Democrats 2020 plan to go all in on identity politics. Just hit a major roadblock. Next.
Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Beto O'Rourke. They're the top Democratic contenders in a new 2020 Iowa poll. The trio besting Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, and 20 other contenders among all caucus goers. But one senator worried about a lack of diversity hurting the party in 2020.
I aspire for our country to recognize the beauty of our diversity in some point in the future. And I hope someday we have a woman president. I love the fact that Barack Obama was our president for 8 years. I hope more people of color not only aspire and win the presidency, because that's what makes America so extraordinary, that we are all of that. We are everything. And I think a more inclusive America is a stronger America.
Jedediah, what do you make of that?
I mean, she drives me crazy, actually. Ever since her comments about Kavanaugh, she was so unhinged that I can't even look at her the same after that. I think it's interesting that Democrats only see your race, your age. They compartmentalize you all the time, and it doesn't work. I mean, if they knew anything about any of this, Bernie Sanders, they talk about age with Joe Biden, how maybe because he's too old, he needs somebody young on the ticket. Bernie Sanders is he's 77 years old right now. He did great with young people. He brought out more young people than anyone. Hillary Clinton ran a woman, thought that was going to do great with women. Women didn't go out and vote for her. They weren't inspired.
She won women.
Yeah, but not well. Not like what they thought she was going to do. I mean, there were so many women that didn't go out and vote with her, and so many women that opposed her. They thought they were going to do great with women because of her, and that's not how it worked out. So I think it's to their detriment. I do think that somebody like Joe Biden could be interesting because he has widespread appeal, but it would be great if Democrats just learned the lesson that why don't you find somebody that can articulate a positive message, that can inspire people, and forget it. Forget whether they're, black or white or what their race is, what their gender is. Just find someone that can make people excited. President Obama did not make people excited because of his race. He made people excited because he was good at this. He was good at politics. He was good at articulating a message. He was good at getting on the campaign trail and doing things well. Find that person regardless.
Maybe they could find somebody who was orange. Anyway, Jesse.
We already did that.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at it,
Jesse,
too.
let me go over the numbers because they're so interesting to me. 32% of these Iowa caucus goers like Joe Biden. Then it's this big jump down. 19% Sanders is their first choice. 11% Beto O'Rourke. And everybody else is an afterthought. What do you make of that?
Well, it looks like the Democrats are the party of white privilege, Juan. That's what the Democrat base wants. They want straight white males, and I'm just ashamed of you guys for being so superficial.
Thank you. Okay.
Listen, I think the Beto momentum is real. Who would have ever thought he'd be on that poll at that high of a level? Biden has some choices to make, and he's got to make them over Christmas break. It's either now or never. And Sanders still has a good 20% of the party. He'll never lose it. But none of those three people, I think, really are acceptable to a fringe group of Democrats. I mean, ideally, some Democratic activists would like to nominate a transgender Native American atheist to be their nominee. And they would, no offense, and anything less is unacceptable. I totally agree with Jedediah. It's not about identity. It's just about policy and charisma. Barack Obama was a black American. Was he any different than any other Democrat that they would have nominated? Hillary Clinton, policy-wise, would she be any different than any liberal Democrat? No. So it's not about your gender or your race. It's really about your inspiration level.
By the way, Dana, I see here it says in May of 2007, John Edwards was leading this poll, and on the Republican side, Mitt Romney. So neither.
So remember, so I think these polls at this point in time are solely about name ID. Yeah. So Joe Biden's got a 99% name ID issue, so that's why he's at the top of this. So don't put too much other stock in it. But Beto O'Rourke, that he has enough name ID to get there at this point, I think is good. I'm going to quote an article, Jesse. I do recommend this. The New York Times, David Leonhardt, this morning writes a piece about. And he's a liberal, progressive type of economics guy. He says that Democrats stop it with the identity politics and the checklist. Whoever can articulate an economic populist message is the one that can win, because that's what President Trump appealed to. So if this is the direction that you need to go in, they're basically begging them to stop with trying to figure out the identity checklist that Gillibrand was talking
about. In fact, what he did was he talked about people who voted for Obama and then switched to voting for
Trump, and then voted for Democrats in the midterms.
In the midterms, but the key was that, you know what, and this is where Greg and I always get into a feud, most of these people say they like the idea of Medicare for all. They like free tuition for their kids to go to school.
I like it when we read the same article, Juan.
Well, I'm telling you.
It's kind of nice.
Hey, Greg, so the bottom of this barrel is so interesting to me because you don't see people like, guess what? Elizabeth Warren.
I know. I think that ship has sailed. I don't know how she gets out of that one. You know what? We have to remind ourselves how Trump won. It was the contrast theory. It was, there was 17 alikes and one person who was different, right? So everybody kind of blended. And when did we see that? The first debate when Trump was up there and seemed so different from everybody else. Starting with the Rosie O'Donnell question, which was an answer no one had ever seen in a debate, which basically everybody. And then remember they asked about raising the hands? Would you say it was the same debate? It just immediately made him different. So this is what's going to happen, I think, with the Democratic Party. They're going to have 20 people, whatever, but there's going to be one person that is the most persuasive because they're different. And it may not be about ideology or policy. It just may be about persuasiveness, a person that is optimistic. And the optimism could come from bringing America back together after years of, they could say 4 years of division. But the other thing could be about compromise, because one of the reasons why women favor women as a candidate is because they believe they were more willing to compromise than men. That's according to Pew Research today, and I checked it out. So the fact is, the pendulum swing could be towards compromise and optimism for the party, but it's going to be somebody who stands out. And by the way, it still could be Bernie, because he still kind of stands out.
He's very
with that hair, he's no Jesse.
Well, okay, what are you doing? But who's going to compete with Jesse on here? You saw what happened in the poll last week. All right. Is political correctness killing James Bond? Greg, that's a surprise. But Greg breaks down the 007 drinking controversy. That's when the 5 comes right back. Stay with us.
James Bond is a drunk. Yep, some British scientists sat through every single Bond movie in order to scold us about men who dare to drink. Turns out he has 4 per movie and then engages in risky behaviors. But guys, James Bond is a fictional character. He's not real. Someone made him up. What's next for you researchers? Condemn Porky Pig for perversion since he never wears pants? Or criticize the Hulk because he keeps destroying his? And while 4 drinks per movie does sound like a lot, with fiction, you got to remember, time is different. A movie could take place over a month or a year. I once watched Love Actually, and it seemed like a lifetime. So saying Bond is a drunk for having 4 drinks in a 2-hour movie, that's like saying how awesome it is that we can get across the universe in a couple of hours, because that's how long the last Star Trek movie lasted. So what does this stupid study tell us? Well, that some scientists are starved for attention, which we just gave them, and that the gender cops of academia are spreading their wet blanket across any behavior they deem masculine, and that's what Bond was. So what exactly do these people want? A completely sanitized, politically correct James Bond. Well, the folks at the Greg Gutfeld Show have given you one. Take a look.
This Christmas, Bond is back like you've never seen him before.
You hungry? I had an extra one.
You're not gonna hurt me.
Of course not. Violence is so uncivilized.
It's the same James Bond you know and love, rewritten to please even the most progressive, socially conscious moviegoer in 2018.
What'll it be, sir? Let me guess. Martini. Shaken, not stirred?
Latte, soy latte, extra decaf.
Extra decaf?
Are the beans sustainably sourced? I only drink organic, farm-raised, homegrown, cruelty-free coffee.
I have no idea.
With intrigue and suspense.
Your move, 007.
Is it? No, seriously, is it? I don't know how to play this game. I saw at a TED Talk recently that competitive activities only encourage toxic masculinity and marginalize disenfranchised communities into unjust hierarchical structures reinforced by a bigoted and corrupt system.
You're bluffing.
What's a bluff?
And it isn't a Bond film without seduction.
Well, James, I've had a really lovely evening. Care to come inside?
You know, I don't appreciate the heteronormative assumptions in your proposition. It's regressive, anti-neo-feminist rhetoric like that that perpetuates a patriarchal society of oppression and gendered subjugation, not the least of which I care to contribute to.
You could have just said no.
So get ready for the most politically correct secret agent of all time. No guns, no gambling, no girls. It's James Bond in The Spy Who Consensually Agreed in Writing She Loved Me.
You must be Q.
It's LGBTQ now.
But of course.
All right.
That's great.
Yeah, Gene, he's born to play Bond, or the new Bond, I think. That was Gene Nelson, who works on the Gene
You
show.
have 4 drinks per movie, too.
I do.
When you're watching.
When I'm watching, that is so true.
Yeah. 4 drinks in 2 hours is a slow night.
Yes, exactly.
You know what's great? The title of this study.
Yes.
License to Swill.
It was actually, you know what the message was? That it's the drinking that leads to questionable behavior of James Bond.
Yeah, like fighting,
Yes.
gambling,
Yes.
Jumping on women, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's just stressed from saving the world.
Yes.
I mean, you try to save the world sober. You need a cocktail.
But also, the fact is, movies have a time span.
Right.
I mean, this is like watching Forrest Gump and going, how did he live 30 years in 2 hours?
I thought you've never seen that movie.
I never have.
But wait a second, what would you say if he was smoking?
Oh, I would be okay with it.
I'm okay.
I'm okay with it. In
Wait
fact,
a
he used
minute,
to
wait a minute.
fictional character.
Have you noticed they've stopped now smoking in a lot of movies because, and I think this is, you know, I appreciate the monologue, but the serious part is you don't want to encourage people to drink and drive, for example.
Right.
Or you think smoking actually kills you.
Yeah,
but
a lot of
people
things do.
don't. That's the assumption that people always make, that you're looking at movies and you're going to model your life after the fictional characters.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to see extreme behaviors in movies. That's what makes it interesting. Like Liam Neeson in Taken.
Right.
I mean, I don't believe that Liam Neeson would actually be able to do those things, but that's why it's
Are
entertaining.
you sure, though?
I don't know.
Liam Neeson seems like a pretty tough guy.
Maybe he could.
Yeah.
But they sanitize everything, even serial killers in movies. I love horror films. Now we got to psychoanalyze them. Oh, his relationship with his mother. I don't care about his relationship with his mother. I want to watch a horror movie.
You want to see them? You want to see him hack people to bits?
I want to see the gore. Yes.
You want him covered in blood, wearing somebody's face, Dana.
Well,
you said the accent was dead on, according to your husband.
Peter, who's British, of course, he watched this and he said that Gene, your staffer, he said, That is an excellent British accent.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Your team does an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where's the Waters World staff? God, you guys have some serious talent on the Greg Gutfeld show.
You are terrible.
My God. Hello.
Of course,
Apologize
there's
to your staff.
Dion Baia right there, who has a
Dion
new
making
book
a
out, Blood in the
cameo.
Street.
I mean, no offense to the Waters World staff.
You just
They do a bang-up job.
They are going to sabotage you in the next
You
year.
wouldn't be able to tell.
Terrible. All right. A parrot ordering from Amazon and an inmate suing to smoke pot. I do that. Headlines that you won't believe are true next.
And now for some stories making headlines that you're not going to believe are actually true. First up, this South Carolina inmate is serving a life sentence for murder. But apparently, James Rose thinks he has a right to smoke pot in prison. The convict is suing the state's Department of Corrections, arguing his Rastafarian religion entitles him to get high while behind bars. I don't know, Greg, I think this is something you might be capable of. Don't quote me on it. But what do you think about this?
I'm all for clever activity, but he is a murderer. So, like, if this was a different crime, then I would be okay with manipulating the law. But he is a murderer. On the other hand, you know, pot does kill your ambition. And if you're smoking it every day, he might be less violent.
Yeah, but you know, his Rastafarian religion, I was reading about it, dreadlocks and pot are key. They're considered sacred. So what if that's true, Jesse? I mean, what if that's the same thing as, you know, something else, a parallel from another religion, and he's got a point?
There is also wine.
Indians are allowed to take peyote, and that's legal.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's a religious
Yeah.
experience for them. And I mean, if you're Muslim, you can't be forced to eat pork, or if you're Quaker, they can't ship you off to war. I agree with this. If I ever get locked up, I'm going to convert to Rastafarianism just to get me through my time, and then I'm going to sell it so people keep their hands off me.
And you're on your way to having dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Is that true?
No.
That's fake news. Peyote, they don't let people take peyote.
I have it right here.
Yeah.
I have a legal backgrounder right here.
Is that true?
Yep, state law,
Yeah.
pertinent
Wow.
part.
Well, think about it.
Possession,
That's unbelievable.
transportation is legal.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Where would the cutoff be? I mean, think about it. Because if you allow one religious group what are you going to tell one no and say
Well,
yes
I
to
don't
somebody
think,
else?
look, I'm a Christian. I don't think they say, hey, Juan, here's a bottle of wine. I don't think they
That's
do that.
true.
They should.
They should.
They should.
Maybe I'll get you to represent
I
me.
will.
Yeah, you can get
I'll drink the
communion
wine.
in prison. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we got more, because up next, a sneaky parrot named Rocco has reportedly been using Amazon Alexa to go on shopping sprees when its owner isn't home. All right, Dana, this guy, you have
I wish
your
we had
name.
sound so that we could hear him doing it, because I don't even know how to order stuff on my Alexa. So
That's
I
what-
could
don't think
use
it's
a
real.
lesson.
I don't think this story's real.
Well, he's ordering watermelon, ice cream, and a tea kettle, which I fancy, frankly.
Well, I don't think
that
you
could be
can order watermelon from Amazon.
Well, that's what it says.
I think the lady is blaming it on the bird. She says her bird is foul mouthed. No, the lady is. She just wants to return the watermelon because it's spoiled.
She got drunk, and then she regretted her purchases
Yes.
and can't pay for it because she's broke, and blamed the parrot.
Blaming the parrots.
Hey, doesn't Amazon own a grocery store?
Yeah, well, it owns everything.
Yeah.
It owns a studio, I believe.
I forgot.
Free shipping. We can ship you Juan in 2 days.
Not fast enough.
If you get
We need overnight delivery.
If you get Amazon Prime, we put Juan in a box.
Don't you think you got to give the bird credit?
I do.
If it's true, as you say, you doubt it. But if it's true, that's a smart
I think
bird.
it's like when you
is.
blame the dog for one thing, she's blaming the bird for something else.
The bird uses the Alexa for listening to romantic music as well. I'd like to point that out. All right, we have one more. Finally, millennials are looking to learn basic life skills like cooking and sewing, and they can now take so-called adulting classes. The courses are reportedly expanding across the country, with some even offering curriculums on time management and even on how to deal with love. I don't know, Greg. I mean, I don't know how to sew a button on.
No, neither do I. And the fact is we used to have this class. It was called Home Ec. And I think it was I don't know when it started. 8th grade. I don't know if the boys were in it when I was my age, but maybe it should, because I have absolutely no practical skills. I can't sew. I haven't changed a tire in probably 30 years.
Same for me.
I don't think I could. My wife dresses me practically. But what do you need to learn now when everything's on this? Like, what do you need to learn? You just look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think, well, I think if one, that they are using adulting as a verb really.
You got it.
That's the
And
point.
this is on the parents, right? We can't make fun of them because Generation X are the parents of
They're
these
trying.
people.
The part that angers people is that is the love section. They're learning, you know, how to say "I love you" to somebody and how to navigate a relationship, and that I think you can blame on that phone.
Yeah, I'd make a great professor in that university, right? Yeah, just here's what you do, kids. No, I mean, they're going to go after Trump University for fraud, but this place, Adult University, gets off scot-free. I'd go after these people so hard. What, are you going to put a turkey in the oven and put it to 450? Hey, hand over the tuition? It's a crock.
You know, I'm really surprised at this because I thought you guys were going to say this is real life. Education and preparation.
Oh, your parents should have
and
taught
then
you
you
this
think
stuff.
people like me, you know, liberal arts educate, you know, you're off there talking about philosophy and ideas. You don't know how to live in the world. That's what I thought you were going to say.
I think this is good. I agree with you.
I would go.
I got to say, one of the things that struck me as I was growing up was I don't know how to buy a stock or sell a stock or look
don't
at the
either.
PE ratio. I wish somebody had
Well,
taught
you call a stockbroker and you say, here's my money.
Yeah. That's like my wife. You know, what do you make for dinner? Reservation.
I like Jesse still does it this way when he's doing the phone thing.
Why? What do you
His kids are going like, why does he do that?
What are you on speaker? You just hit a button?
No, you have the people just do this now.
Yeah.
Or
You do
they
this.
do this.
You
I
don't
hate
do
this.
this.
Oh, I don't
I don't like that either.
Look, it's
I
always
hate people at the airport that do that.
It's from reality shows. They've been watching too many Keeping Up with the Kardashians or Real Housewives, and
That's
everybody
right.
talks like
Or
this.
how about Chaffetz coming towards me and he's talking, and I think he's talking
to
me,
you.
but he's got these little things in his head.
You know what though? How lucky that he was talking to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
The deep state is real.
It's true, though. A lot of skill sets are being lost. Maybe they'll send me to an adulting class. I'll come back and tell you what I learned.
There you go.
One more thing is coming up next.
It's time now for one more thing, and Juan kicks us off.
All right, so a young man, Xander, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, had a special wish for Christmas. All he wanted was for his soldier dad to come home for the holidays. Well, here we are a week before Christmas, and little Xander was allowed to open a giant Christmas present early. Watch what was inside the package.
Whoa! What is it?
What is it?
What is it? Oh my God!
Yep, that's right. His dad made it home. Such a touching moment for the two, and a happy holiday for sure to come. Thank you to all the men and women serving our country in the armed forces. And this is a reminder also, thank you to their families and their children here at home as well as overseas. Merry Christmas.
Absolutely. That was a good tearjerker. Welcome home to you. All right, so they normally come down the chimney, but this time they're coming through the front door. This is Santa and Mrs. Claus. They're part of the Secret Sleigh Project. This is a group that organizes holiday visits for medically homebound children, and it's based in Fort Collins, Colorado. Of course, you know I love Colorado. And it started there, but it's grown to almost every state and several other countries on nearly every continent. They just started it 4 years ago and have had that much progress. And if you want to find out how you might be able to help them or participate, or if you need a visit, facebook.com/Project Secret Sleigh. So check them out.
So,
Greg.
You've had two really nice one more things.
Yes, will you help us?
This one's going to be about me.
Okay.
The Gutfeld monologues are back in Florida for 2019. March 2nd, I'll be in Tampa. March 3rd, I'll be West Palm Beach. Go to gutfeld.com and get your tickets because they sell out like hotcakes, and I don't even know what hotcakes are. Go to this now. Animals are great. Animals are great. Animals are great. I'm going to just ruin all of you. Okay, this little creature here is too short, just like me. He's trying to get up there. He's trying to get up. He's trying to get up. Oh. Try it again, kid. Try it again. Try it again. Try it again. You're gonna do it. Oh. This is like me trying to get home from work late at night. Anyway, I think we've seen enough. Or one more
Animals
time,
are
maybe.
Animals are great. Animals are great. Animals are
I'll
great.
never stop.
Are you going to pay my psychiatric bill?
All right, Jesse, all yours.
You are milking that to death.
I am.
All right. What's better than mascots, everybody? When mascots fight other people.
Oh, this
is at the United Center in Chicago here. This is the mascot, Tommy Hawk, scrapping with the fan here.
Did the fan attack him first?
It got really ugly. I don't know if we have the beginning of the fight. According to police, the guy started the fight. Well, I guess you're right. Punched Tommy, put him in a headlock. They were going at it for a while. I mean, the mascot gets the upper hand at one point. He body slams
But he throws him out, too.
Yeah.
He throws him. The mascot, I think the guy attacked him first.
Oh, boom.
They never expect all the mascots can fight.
Yes, they can. That's how they train them to do that.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. Know how to fight and be able to survive the intense warmth of the mascot costume. So police are looking for a white male about 5'5", 160 pounds. Actually fits Gutfeld's.
And they're also looking for a large black bird. What is that, a bird? A black bird?
Yes, it's a Tommy Hawk, a black hawk.
A black hawk, a black hawk.
The hockey team, Dana.
Jedediah, oh, yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is that where you make baskets?
No, that would be the other sport.
Jedediah, we have a whole minute for you. Go.
Wow. Well, everyone that knows me knows that I love an animal in a costume. So, you're welcome, everyone. Over the weekend, San Diego celebrated its 13th annual holiday pet parade. The owners and the pets come to the parade dressed in their little Santa costumes and all kinds of costumes. They come from all over the world, and they pick their favorite costumes and they promenade down. And look how beautiful. Puppies, kittens, amazing. Look at that, a tutu. My Emma has a tutu.
I think Greg, you and I could sing.
Yeah.
Animals are great.
Listen, it can pair well.
Look, they made them into unicorns. You missed it.
Yes, all kinds of costumes.
That's
it's
sacrilege.
Beautiful. It's every year, and I think that we should go.
Have you dressed up your
Bring our
puppy in an
pets.
outfit?
No, you did say that if it's under 30 to put a little sweater on.
I think
Yeah,
under
you
30.
got it.
Is that the deal?
I think that's a all right.
If they're
all going to hell.
DVRs never miss an episode of The Five. Special report is up next with the very lovely Shannon Bream.